The 2025 NFL Draft is almost here and lines are moving. We take a first look at various betting markets for Green Bay tonight on the IBT podcast.
I've been going dummy, out of bounds, putting on a clinic. Stick around, carrots in my hardware. KC, caught him in the crosshair. Look at me, been the guy, call him Mr. MVP. Keep your ass on the bench by my MPC. Earn my stripes like I fix this league. Your dog's on the turf, my dog's in the street. You can find me somewhere in between. Never a dull moment like a movie scene. About to do the ops like I did this beat. Let them keep talking RG3. Coming to you live. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right. It is Tuesday, April 8th, 2025, and this is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for both a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. We sit just over 2 weeks away from when the sports world will turn its attention to Green Bay, Wisconsin for the NFL Draft. And unlike in previous years, this thing feels wide open right now, potentially creating some value in the betting markets. We'll certainly chat all about that in tonight's episode. I'm your host, Seth Wilcock, and tonight I'm blessed once again to be joined by a delightful cast of characters, including a light ranching, big business son of a bitch, Eric Romoff. Eric, how's it hanging out there in the wild, wild west of Texas?
It's going all right. We're fresh off a proper ass whipping to the Houston Astros of the San Antonio Little League baseball system.
Ooh.
So going to go back and hit the tape, but we're also going to go back and hit the tape of all of these prospects heading into the NFL draft. We're finally at the point where we actually have some diversity in the market and we can make some informed decisions on where we want to place our wagers.
Yeah, the NFL draft is always one of the events that I have one of my largest betting cards of the year for. I feel like as we've gone through this process, though, the books have gotten smarter, even though there are, a lot of discrepancies at the top of the board. We'll chat about that here later on. And helping us do that will be a man who I just learned is still one of the faithful of the ACC, standing with them, former Florida State Seminole himself, our entertainment and NFL betting pundit here at IBT Boston's boy, Steve Lawson. What's up, Steve?
Not much. I bleed ACC up right up until Florida State leaves. Wherever Florida State is, I will stand there.
They're talking about it.
They sued about it. I also grew up rooting for Duke basketball, so I've kind of been an ACC guy my whole life. But I'm excited to talk football with you guys. I'm excited to report that your boy was the QB1 this past weekend in his flag football league. Yeah, the boy's representing. So I'm ready to go.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I'll just say this, Steve: the ACC vibe, it fits you. You're very Atlantic coastal, elitist vibes I get from you. So it fits.
Thanks. That's sick.
We're also welcoming back a man to the program who pushes the pile. Yinzer, Ginger, IUP Crimson Hawk. He's behind the scenes producer, Kyle Scott. Jim, what's new out there in the Berg right now, man?
Not a whole lot is new out here. I thought it was going to be time for some disc golf or some regular traditional golf, but we started out strong and the weather just has not been cooperative one bit for anything. It's been awful out here, frankly.
Yeah, I agree. I got back-to-back weekends of bachelor parties for a friend this weekend, my brother next weekend. We're all hoping to hit the links, and early April, remind us, hey, it's still early April up here in the Midwest, Northeast, whatever you want to call Pennsylvania. So I feel you there. Gonna look into some sims, probably some sim golfing for the kid here over the next 2 weeks or so. As noted, though, on tonight's show, we got between bets or all value teams. That was last week's program. This week we have between bets. We're going to be going over our favorite NFL draft picks for the current betting markets. Also, we're going to get into Rave rookie reviews, FastDraft's Origin Tournament. That's a new partner we're working with. They have some great new options over there for best ball degens. We're going to talk about targets. Plus, I got a sports movie debate for y'all. I've been talking about it on a couple programs I've been on this week. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. So excited about that. Shout out to the IBT family for tuning in with us tonight. We greatly appreciate it. Looks like we had Dee here live in the chat. She was ready to go on this beautiful Tuesday evening. What's up, Dee? Good to see you. Thanks so much for tuning in with us. We appreciate it. We appreciate everyone who tunes in with us. We're so close to hitting our goal of 1,500 subs ahead of the NFL draft. If you can help us get there, that would be sick as fuck. We greatly appreciate it. Please like this video if you enjoy this type of content. Also, be sure to check out the website, inbetweenmedia.com, for some dope written content. While you're there, get a ticket to Draft Night Out. That's our live fantasy football draft at the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio this August. If you want to come draft with us, 200 of our closest fantasy football friends, this is the event for you. We got a shot wheel spinning, giveaways going on, songs singing, everything in between. I can't wait to hang out with y'all once again this summer. Eric, a lot of people, they've been squatting up this week. We got like 4 or 5 orders that were like, hey, here's 4 tickets. I want to be in this league. Like, those are the best because, like, okay, these guys are coming squad up, probably maybe already a 6er deep by noon.
Oh, easily, right? Like, that's been the biggest revelation of the recent batch of ticket sales. It's like 4, 6, 8 people that have all gotten together and are like, we want to play in this division. We want to play against each other. And you know they're going to roll through with the vibes, right? So Draft Night Out is always the focal point of the Expo weekend for me. It seems like it's going to be bigger and better than ever this year.
Yeah, link is in the episode description for tickets. Make sure y'all are checking it out. Can't wait for some of y'all to come hang out with us. It's going to be a glorious time as always. Looks like we got Sam riding with us in the chat as well. What's up, Sam? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for making some time for us on your glorious Tuesday evening. And guys, let's go ahead and jump into some things with Between Bets NFL Draft Edition.
Between bets. Between bets.
It's Between Bets. It's our NFL draft betting primer. A reminder, this is not our best bets episode. That'll be in 2 weeks from now. This is more just an overall preview, doing some sniffing around, trying to see what value might be out there, talking to some strategies with each other, some ideas, lines to watch, that type of thing. And just keep in mind as well, you cannot bet on the NFL draft in every state you're in, even if you have legalized sports betting. So make sure you're checking your local register to see what's available to you. That includes Pennsylvania. So in about a week from now, I'm going to be on my way out towards Kyle's neck of the woods, Pittsburgh, and for one of those bachelor parties, I'm going to swing down to West Virginia, Maryland, one of those states on the way back, fire some of these gainers off. So we will have some best bets for you, some solidified picks, more just kind of poking around tonight. And we will go market by market, starting with the 1st overall through the 5th overall pick market. And guys, honestly, there's not a ton of value, I don't think, in these markets, specifically starting with the 1st overall pick. Cam Ward now minus 5,000 to go 1st overall. The Titans, they have canceled their workout with Shedeur Sanders. So all signs right now point to Cam Ward being the 1st overall pick. But I really think the draft starts at the 2nd overall pick, Eric. We've talked a lot about it this year. What the Browns are going to do is going to tell us a lot here. Up until this past week, Abdul Carter was the minus money favorite to go 2nd overall to Cleveland. However, the Colorado Showcase got underway on Friday. Browns owner Jimmy Haslam was in attendance. As a result, Travis Hunter, cornerback wide receiver out of Colorado, the 2024 Heisman Trophy winner, he's now the betting favorite. Down to minus 130 at some places. And he's been pushed down since, moving further this week, minus 270 now. So, Eric, are you kind of in the belief that, hey, it is a pick of Travis Hunter here, is maybe there's some value in the 2nd overall pick market?
Yeah, I definitely think there's value to be had with this pick, and it lies with Abdul Carter, a player that was the betting favorite a short handful of days ago, and now you can get him for plus 200, plus 215. I think he's even up to like plus 235 on some books, right? Like this is the season of lying. And this is the point where, everyone seems to get a sense of what they think is happening. They try to read the tea leaves and piece everything together.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, the best draft analysts out there get 5, 6, 7 picks bang on, right? So nobody truly knows. And I say that to illustrate the fact that anytime that someone was a betting favorite and now you're able to get plus money for that player, it very much so is going to catch my interest. And then you also have the fit of the player himself. Obviously, Hunter is a unique talent, and he can be used in a variety of different ways. But I feel like the cornerback situation in Cleveland is good enough, right? They've got some solid pieces there. They've been able to get more out of the guys that they have back there than what was previously expected of them.
Yeah.
And if you think about, how Cleveland is going to win games, 2 absolute nightmares coming off of opposing corners or opposing edges, I should say, sounds like a great way to do it. So I can see them talking themselves into it. And the fact that you're getting plus money on Abdul Carter is very interesting to me.
Steve, what do you think about Shedeur Sanders sitting out 17-1 too? Like there's a chance that Jimmy Haslam was there to see Shedeur, and taking a 17-1 long shot on Shedeur might not be the worst thing. What do you kind of make of this second overall pick market? Or would you rather lay money down at the third overall pick where Travis Hunter now plus 250 to go there, Abdul Carter minus 170. So kind of just changing odds from second to third overall are Abdul and Travis Hunter, and then Shedeur just floating around as a long shot in these markets.
Yeah. So weirdly enough, I think the second overall pick is probably the most likely pick to be traded in this top 5, in my opinion. I think the Cleveland Browns, one thing that Jimmy Haslam has been very vocal about this offseason is the Deshaun Watson trade. And he made a real point to point out that they gave up a lot of picks in that deal. And now they have to kind of suffer the consequences of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be shocked because they are not they're kind of in a gross situation because of that Deshaun Watson deal. That contract's a mess. They have no picks. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade out of this. So I think I'm avoiding the second overall pick at this point. Overall, if I had to pick someone there, I still like Abdul Carter at the plus money, though. You know what I mean?
Okay,
if someone's going to trade up and go get someone, an edge rusher is still a little more valuable to the NFL than a cornerback is, especially a cornerback who doesn't necessarily want to put all his time or focus into being a cornerback. While I think what Travis Hunter did really great in college was awesome and all that good stuff, I don't know how it translates to the NFL, so I would bet that Abdul Carter, whose skill set directly translates to the NFL, works a little bit better there. But I kind of am staying away from the second overall pick altogether because it's just a mess.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like if you want to take a shot on one of those guys in one of these markets, maybe it's at that fourth overall pick mark where Will Campbell, now the favorite coming out of LSU, the offensive tackle, plus 110. We also have Membu, another very good tackle prospect in this class coming out of Missouri, plus 380. Abdul Carter in that market, 5-1. Kind of hard to see him falling all the way to 4, but there have been plenty of mocks throughout the process where he's gotten to the Patriots there at 4. And how many times we said, hey, will it be Travis Hunter, will it be Ted McMillan, maybe going to the Patriots. So a 10-1 ticket there might not be bad. My favorite overall bet, if I'm making one still, though, is probably Mason Graham here, plus 110 at DraftKings right now for the 5th overall pick. This has been high variance. So this is one when I get down to West Virginia, I can see the odds live on my devices. I'm going to be certainly looking at taking a little bit closer of a sniff because earlier, not too long ago, I saw him out there 20-1 at some books. So I'm not sure if he's really been steamed up this far that there is the minus 140 number. We'll have to see that closely. That's what we're finding from our friends over at Betting Pros. And you just know how books APIs can be at this time when you're pulling them into non-betting states where you're allowed these markets. So I really like Mason Graham, though. He's been a guy I've mocked all offseason, Eric, to go to the Jaguars. The Jaguars, ton of problems in 2024, but stopping the run, maybe the biggest one. They allowed 132.6 rushing yards per game, 8th most in the NFL, also the 8th most rushing first downs as well. So I think James Gladstone's just going to get the best run stuffer in this class, which is Michigan's Mason Graham. So Any thoughts on Mason Graham? Is plus 110 too low of a number for you to lay on him when there are, a surplus of options there for the Jags?
Yeah, generally speaking, short odds like this are probably just a walk away for me in general when you're picking a player versus the field, right?
You know how I feel about these markets. You're talking to the guy who wants to.
Seth definitely loves himself a favorite and a front runner. I want a little bit more juice, but to your point, not only has your mock draft put him there, Mason Graham going to Jacksonville is basically on every single mock draft that you can find out there. So the fact that you can get him at a little bit of plus money isn't the worst thing in the world. I think it is a very secure pick overall. For me, I kind of like speculating with Shedeur Sanders at the 3rd pick specifically. And the thing that catches my eye, this is a number, at least a line that has come down at a lot of books. He was previously had an over under of 3.5 in terms of his individual draft position. Now you can get him at a few places between plus 400 and plus 650. But a lot of books have taken him down because new information is emerging, right? This could be a point where this time tomorrow, this time next week, all of a sudden there's reports that the Giants are in on him, that somebody wants to trade up to 3 to get him. This plus 4 to 600 is right at the price tag that I want to speculate on. So of the first 5 picks, I think that one probably offers the most value, but a lot of it has to do with the price tag, right? I want these bullseye picks to be pretty juicy if I'm going to lay a wager.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more when we get to the over-unders for some players, but Shedeur Sanders over-under right now, and Caesars, the only book who's posted there, 4-1 on the under 3.5. That's got to be my favorite bet right now, whether you want to go with that, whether you want to go with, there's a lot of ways you could play this, Eric. Like you could play it as just the 3rd overall pick, but going with the under 3.5 also gives you another out there if he does go at 2, whether it's Cleveland, whether it's someone trading up into that position like Steve mentioned. But yeah, I just have a really hard time, guys, like thinking that the Giants are cool rolling into the season with no long-term plan at quarterback. Like I get Brian Dable, Joe Shane, these guys are on a little bit of a hot seat here, but I mean, Jameis Winston, Tommy DeVito, Russell Wilson, these guys aren't long-term options here. And
they're not. And the number one objective of general managers and head coaches in the NFL, it's not to win games, it's to keep the job. And you go out and you draft a rookie quarterback, and if nothing else, you reset the clock a little bit. You gotta develop them. You got to give them time to go through this, to learn the system. Maybe they get a little bit more runway by bringing in a guy like Shedeur than if they just take best player available and hope that Russ or Jameis can tap into the best versions of themselves.
Yeah. I certainly agree with you there. Let's go ahead and shift, guys. We're going to shift to the first player of a position drafted market. We're going to head over to Betting Pros to get some of these lines as well. And look, I think you're not going to be betting the first quarterback off the board. You're not going to be betting the first running back. But first wide receiver drafted, this is a conversation all of a sudden, man. Ted McMillan, out of Arizona, we've talked about him. We think he's the clear wide receiver one in this class, minus 160. But Matthew Golden has gotten a lot of steam. His odds have been coming screaming down to plus 170 right now. Steve, what would you be doing here? Because I know you're a big Tet guy. Because like minus 160, if you believe Tet will be the first wide receiver drafted, it's still a bettable number. You're going to have to lay a couple units down and drink a little bit of juice there, but still bettable. Or do you take the plus 170 with Matthew Golden? It definitely feels like you can take one of them. You can't take both. Which way would you go on this, or is this just a stay away for you?
This is probably a stay away because I'm so in on Tet, but that number is still so low.
Yeah,
that you kind of have to a little more juice than I'm willing to stomach.
Yeah.
That makes me feel a little queasy. That's a little that's some orange juice and toothpaste kind of combination level juice. Listen, don't get fooled into Matthew Golden. That's what I'm going to say to all of you listening to this program today or later down the road. Please don't fool yourselves into thinking Matthew Golden's going before Ted McMillan. This is such a runaway. If Ted McMillan had run a 4.6, we're having a different conversation. The man ran in the 4.4s. He's 6'5". Like this is such a slam dunk. Something really goofy would have to happen. Like I don't know, the Cowboys would have to get really involved in like some big trade market and go get Matthew Golden. But this is Ted McMillan's position to own. I wouldn't even be surprised. I don't even think Matthew Golden's a second wide receiver off the board at this point. So,
Wow.
like, I don't. So I just am not there on Matthew Golden. Ted McMillan, I have said it, and I'm probably like the highest on Ted McMillan of anyone I know.
You definitely are. Well,
I think
out of us three, probably, yeah.
I think he truly will be the guy that we look back on this draft and go, how did he not go like number one? Because he's going to be that good in the NFL. He's that much of a problem.
Okay. Yeah. Eric, would you be taking a shot on Matthew Golden here at plus money, or is this just a stay away from you as well?
It's probably a stay away, and
okay,
it's largely because Matthew Golden has no business being drafted ahead of Ted McMillan, but
we're hearing the rumors. Yeah,
that sort of thing hasn't stopped NFL front offices in the past, right? So it's one of those things where I don't think you're getting
Darius
the right
Hayward
number.
Bay.
Yeah, Darius Hayward Bay, John Ross, right? Like these front offices fall in love with speed. It happens every year. It's why Golden's price has dropped so dramatically. I don't think it gets to a point where someone actually puts his name on the card before Ted McMillan.
Sure.
If nothing else, right? Like if we're watching the trend here, if Golden continues to get steamed up, theoretically Ted's price should get better and better and better as we get closer to the draft. So there could be an opportunity to get Ted at a little bit better of a price, but again, betting a favorite or, betting relatively short odds for this type of wager is not the card I usually file.
Yeah. I'm there with you as well. And you know me, I'm willing to drink some juice on some futures, and still a little too short for me. The only other way you could really go in that market if you want to is like first offensive lineman drafted. Will Campbell minus 145. If you want to hammer down on Will, I wouldn't blame you. But we did get some reports that the arm size was a little bit concerning to a couple of different programs. So I know like some people are liking Membu getting steamed up the board. I still think if you're going to take a shot on a different offensive lineman other than Will Campbell to go first, I would probably lay, I've seen Kelvin Banks out there 12-1. I wouldn't hate that move, something like that. But I'm not there with Membu. Will Campbell, okay. But let's go ahead and shift to the total positions in the first round of market here, gentlemen. And you can lay some heavy juice if you want to go with the over 2.5 quarterbacks drafted minus 300. I don't think anyone's going to bet that. I mean, you could parlay that with something and find some value in there. Eric, would you see any value in taking the under and saying, hey, Jackson Dart's definitely sliding out of the first round? Or do you think he definitely falls somewhere, especially with Pittsburgh currently the betting favorite to take him with Aaron Rodgers news up in the air as of now? That news could come later here this week when Pat McAfee and company are in town in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, practically speaking, I don't see a way that 2 or fewer quarterbacks are all that come off the board in the first round, right? You mentioned Jackson Dart to Pittsburgh. I think that's very much so in play, whether or not Aaron Rodgers decides to suit up for the Steelers.
Yeah.
But also the nature of this year's class, like, after, I'll be nice to Shedeur Sanders, after Shedeur and Cam Ward, realistically after Cam Ward, you're looking at a lot of developmental guys, right? So like now you're looking at teams like the Rams, who could be trying to figure out what's going to happen at their position in a couple years down the road. The Seahawks, right? They obviously gave Sam Darnold a nice contract, but it's not a long-term deal. They've got flexibility around that. The Dolphins could potentially say they're finally sick of the Tua experiment, or at least spin it as we're getting a better backup for Tua in there, as he's obviously had injury issues throughout his career, right? So that that clears the path for a player like Jackson Dart, and even Jalen Milroe, right? He got invited to the draft. We've certainly seen plenty of NFL front offices fall in love with the freakish athletes that have blemishes all over their record, right? So, I think we could see 3, potentially even 4, and that is why this line is priced accordingly, right? Over 2.5 is minus 300, and rightfully so.
Steve, how do you feel about the total running backs drafted in round 1 line? Over plus 225, the under minus 300. So unbettable if you want the under. And I think that's where you stand. Like, you and I are both, I think, of the mindset that hey, Ashton's definitely going to go off the board, probably top 15. And then like Omarion Hampton, we'll talk about his line, but I mean, he's projected to be a first round pick now. Eric, a little bit ahead of the curve a couple weeks ago, calling that out on the show. But then we also have Travion Henderson, Steve, who you and I are very high on. So at this point, we'd have to think Henderson, Omarion, and Ashton Jeanty go in the first round for you to bet that over. I mean, it is a plus 225 payday, which is nice, but it just feels like a stretch to get there. How do you feel about it?
I feel like this is a true condemnation of the quality of this draft class. I think that's what this is showing me right now.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I am I don't want to take the under, so don't bet the under, but 3 running backs in the first round, that's probably not happening. Like, I still don't think the NFL values running backs. Like, let's be clear. Guys like Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor were second round picks.
Right.
That's the bottom line, right? Like, yes, it happens. Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson were first round picks, but that was it, right? Like, it's not often you see 3 running backs go in the first round. And I think teams are realizing now running backs are valuable, but they're only really valuable to you if you're good. And that means you're banking on one team reaching for Jeanty, which I don't care who takes him in the top 15. That's a reach for a running back. He is not going to change your culture. Then you need another team that feels they are a running back away from competing. So maybe you're looking at who's the next one in that line, the Chiefs. So now you have one more pick. You're hoping you're just hoping that like whoever, the Eagles want a 2-headed monster with Saquon, so it's not going to happen. Like, and I don't even know if it's Travion Henderson. Is it Quinshon Judkins? Who is it? Right? Like, who would be that third running back? There aren't a lot of great all-world running back. There's one all-world running back in this class, and then a bunch of like good running backs. And that's how I felt about the quarterbacks too. I think it's just a very clear condemnation of the depth, but lack of elite talent in this draft.
That's where I was going to go to. I see it a little bit differently. I don't think it's a combination of the quality of the draft at this position. Actually, I see it quite differently. I think this speaks to
it's the
NFL
depth.
Front offices seeing that there's a ton of depth, right?
Yeah.
To Steve's point, there's Ashton Jeanty, all generational prospect, right? And then after that, you can make an argument that a Hampton or a Henderson or, pick your flavor is kind of the 1A to Jeanty's 1. But then after that, front offices are going to say, why am I going to spend a first round pick when I can go get Cam Scatteraboo in the third round, or I can go get, running back X and get, 70, 80% of the quality of that prospect several rounds later. Right. So I think it's more so it's highlighting that it's very thin at the tippy top of the class, but there's a lot of solid NFL contributors coming in this year's ranks.
What about total wide receivers drafted in round 1, Eric? Over, under 2.5, minus 280 if you wanted to lay it on that over, and then under 2.5 plus 210. Like that's honestly a tempting number. I don't think I could get a full unit down on that. But it's definitely one of the more tempting numbers I've seen out there because I mean, I've been saying on all the airwaves all offseason, not a Luther Burden guy. I think the community overall is starting to catch on that he is not an NFL first-round talent. And then besides Tet McMillan, besides Matthew Golden, who do feel like first-round picks, it's a lot of hope and a lot of praying. Like, I think Emeka Egbuka could go off the board, and he's maybe the one you're waiting for on late day 1. So this is sweater because probably after pick 17, 18, whenever Golden goes, you're going to be freaking sweating this for the next 13 picks. But it could come true unless someone reaches on like an Alec Ayo Manor or, see something in Luther Burden. So I kind of see a little bit of value in this total wide receiver drafted, the under, but it's definitely, you're sweating it out for 13 picks, which does not sound particularly fun.
I don't think it's all that sweaty.
Really?
We see what's happening at the top of this position group, the wide receiver market, where we're seeing a tightening between Tet McMillan and Golden coming off of that 40-yard dash. So these two are going to be neck and neck. They're probably going to come off the board within 5-6 picks of each other, roughly. And at that point, Emeka Egbuka is probably no more than 10 picks away, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's interest from Houston. There's interest from Green Bay. There's interest from Seattle. There are several teams that are interested in Ibuka specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And all it takes is one to fall in love with the screen lord Luther Burden. And all of a sudden now we have 4 off the board, right? Potentially 5. And wide receiver is one of those positions that we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years. Teams fall in love with a guy and they make bad decisions. They trade back into the first round to go get their guy. They trade up a little bit to make sure that they get their hands on the player that they covet the most. So it's definitely one of those positions where front offices and coaching groups feel like they have the eye of Sauron for the best talent coming in at the position. And in turn, it really doesn't matter where some of these guys fall on the big board overall. When they've identified their target, they're going to go get them. Honestly, I'm kind of waiting to see if this line goes to 3.5. And then I'm probably interested in the juicy over side of it.
Really? Wow. Really. Okay. Well, I appreciate that insight there from you. We're going to go ahead. We're going to shift markets yet again here. We're going to go to the position of first pick by team market. And I think this is always one of the most fun ones because if you're a diehard for a certain team, you can take your shot, you can take your stand on it. And, you can bet so many different combinations. A couple of the ones I really like here, guys, a couple of long shots for you starting out. I like the Cardinals wide receiver to draft a wide receiver first, 14-1. We know they've had links to Matthew Golden. At 14-1, I'm willing to take that shot. Also, I know Dallas, they've been connected to Matthew Golden. They've been connected to Ashton Genty as well, but they've been seeing a ton of these day 2, day 3 prospects in their top 30 visits, as well as wide receivers that makes me believe what's stopping them from going out and maybe getting a Tyler Warren, or if he's gone, a Colston Loveland at their pick at 12 overall. So 15-1 for Dallas to go tight end. Don't hate either of those long shots. Steve, any thoughts on the Cardinals to go wide receiver 14-1, Dallas to go tight end 15-1, or any other longer shots that you like in this position of first pick by team here?
Yeah, I don't hate the idea of the Cardinals going wide receiver. And it's not because I don't think Michael Wilson is good, right? I'm kind of like a Michael Wilson truther, like at my heart. But I do like the idea of them potentially going wide receiver. It's tough. Like this, I don't mean to be so wishy-washy on this draft. It's just, I think this is going to be such a defensive heavy draft in the first round, especially. I think day one's going to be really defensive heavy, and it's going to be really disappointing for a lot of fantasy managers out there. Like, I think we want this to be a flashier draft than it is. I just don't think it's going to be. I like the idea. I think if a tight end's going to go, the first one's going to go to Indianapolis. That's where I think the first tight end will go.
You don't think Dallas will do it at 12 before Indy?
I don't. I think Dallas is in a world of like just fuckery right now, and I think they're going to go offensive line. That's where I think Dallas goes. I think the Raiders taking a QB at 6 could be a really cool bet.
Okay.
Tom Brady is now part of the ownership group, and Tom Brady has been very, very, very vocal about his belief that quarterbacks are no longer asked to do a couple things. 1, run a pro-style offense, and 2, sit and learn the game. Now, if that sounds like potentially they might want to take Shedeur Sanders at 6, or maybe trade up and get him, that sounds like a move that the Raiders could make. They just signed Geno Smith. You draft Shedeur Sanders. You sit him behind Geno Smith for a year and let him learn the game, because Shedeur Sanders is not ready for the NFL. Like, we've seen it. We saw his pro tape now, or I'm sorry, his pro day. He's patting the ball, like double tapping the ball, and people.
I'm not worried about the tapping the ball.
You have to. It's not a one tap. A one tap everyone does. A double tap, that is really, really bad. Like, listen, at some point we have to acknowledge that this guy is not NFL ready. He just isn't. Half of his passes you can't even study because they were within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that's a good take.
Like, this man does not throw the ball really at all into tight windows. And a double tap, all it takes, like, think of a double tap, you go bang, bang. These are the best athletes on the planet. That is the difference between a window being open and a window getting very, very tight. And we've never seen a quarterback successfully in the NFL double tap the football. That's not something that they do. They will beat that out of you. You have to break that habit. So he's not ready. So the Raiders are not in a situation where they're not going to win right now. They need a QB of the future. I like it
17-1.
17-1 odds feel really strong for the Las Vegas Raiders to go get their QB1 of the future.
Eric, any other long shots you like in this market?
I don't know if any long shots necessarily jump out. Probably the longest of the odds is the New Orleans Saints to draft a quarterback at plus 1,000. We talk about the idea of new head coaches wanting to come in and establish themselves with their guy. We talk about trying to build some runway into their ticking clock. New Orleans is in a situation with Derek Carr where that contract is not conducive to a team that is rebuilding, right? So, I could totally see a world where at that 9th overall pick, they are looking at a quarterback, or potentially they're looking to move back and get into the Jackson Dart game a little bit later in the draft and accumulate some draft picks. So I think that's interesting. I also think it's interesting that we can learn about what we're seeing in the other markets, right? I talked about Shedeur Sanders going number 3 overall. Currently, the New York Football Giants reside in that spot, and for them to take a quarterback is only plus 150. It's the
open at plus
odds.
150. Actually, off the board now.
Board entirely gone.
Yeah, they did.
Was plus 150.
And I did want to just shout to the Saints have moved to 2-1 to draft a quarterback, so that has shrunk as well a little bit.
Oh, I see. I was working off the open side. So yeah, 2-1 definitely makes sense for the Saints. The Giants not being able to get a ticket in at the quarterback position tells you that that spot is completely wide open, right? So more than anything, I would say take a look at these odds and compare them against individual players landing spots against the the top 5 or the over under for those players, right? Because you can really start to triangulate where there are inefficiencies in these markets overall.
Yeah, 100% agreed with you there. A couple other obvious ones that I just thought we should probably throw out there that, hey, it's not going to make you rich. Maybe they go in a different direction here, but we all know the Bengals are going to take a defensive player. They have to. They absolutely have to. And with what's going on with Tre Hendrickson right now and Bengals management kind of coming out and say, hey, we just want him to be happy with what we give him, and Tre Hendrickson kind of coming out and countering that out on PMS last week saying, look, dude, like I'm just, trying to stay true to my word. The Bengals aren't staying true to their word. Bengals right now draft a defensive lineman in the first round, minus 150. There's a couple Ohio State guys who've been in-house. There's another guy not too far out there from Marshall, Mike Green, coming over in the great state of West Virginia there, who could be potentially available as well. So minus 150, I don't mind that. And you can also kind of, if you really needed to hedge yourself a little bit with a safety, if they go Malachi Starks, or a cornerback, if they go Barron or something like that. So I love just putting a couple bucks on the Bengals to go with a defensive player there as well. And then it's even money right now. The Chiefs to take an offensive lineman. I'm willing to lay that, man. There's a lot of good tackles. If Tyler Booker, an interior offensive lineman, falls to them after getting rid of Joe Thuney, I think maybe they strike there. But even money, I'm willing to go there. Steve, any interest in taking any of those obvious ones there? Bengals defensive line minus 150, Chiefs OL even money.
Honestly, with those two franchises, no.
Because,
they are just they're tough to kind of predict what they're going to do. The Bengals, how do I say this in a nice way? They seemed to come into this offseason with no plan. That is, honest to God, the vibe I'm getting from the Bengals, because it is really strange the way they've gone about this. Because yes, they signed Chase and Higgins, which was great. But you looked at this team and offense wasn't the issue. I think if their GM was really doing their job properly, they would have let Higgins go or traded him.
Right.
And kind of tried to balance this team out. And they really went in a very Madden-esque direction.
Yeah.
Where they're like, we'll just score 1,000. And then the Chiefs, I never know what they're going to do. It's impossible to read them. They need lines
so bad, though.
I know, but every time it's they need to do this. They zig when people zag, right?
Yeah,
that's
true.
kind of that's their MO. So I don't love either of these franchises because at this point they're just kind of chaotic. Like the Bengals are too chaotic and the Chiefs are too smart. And I don't like really, really smart teams betting on like obvious situations. A bet like one thing I think does speak to Eric's credit is like I do like the quarterback to the Saints because like not for nothing, but Derek Carr, you kind of fit the Pittsburgh Steeler vibe. Not for like that seems like a trade that could be made, and I don't think anyone's too upset about it.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely not thrilled as a Steelers fan. I'll tell you that much, buddy.
Considering the situation you're in right now, I think you got to take.
I'll take Mason, baby. I'll take Mason.
You'll take Mason Rudolph
over Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
Yep,
that's insane.
Tank for Arch, baby. Tank for Arch. Let's go ahead and shift though. I want to go to team to draft a player market. This is kind of another fun one that you can always kind of, hey, you have to, settle in on what you want to pick and really stick with it. But you can take a little bit of long shots, which gives you a good way of balancing out your budget here. Eric, did you see anything in this market that stuck out to you? Because to me, I have one bet that I will probably be placing when I get out there to a legalized state in just a couple of weeks, and it's the Saints to draft Ashton Jeanty. This is one at 13-1. I'm willing to take a little bit of shot here. It's down to 9-1 at other books. You can still get it 13-1 at a few of these books. And look, like nobody knows Ashton Jeanty better than Kellen Moore, who before Jeanty made his mark on college football this past year was the most notable all-time player from Boise State. So he's been in that locker room. He's been sniffing around. He just took Saquon Barkley for over 2,000 yards. I don't think he takes this job without having control over who he gets to pick with this overall top 10 selection. So, 9-1, man, for them to go there. Like, I'm with Steve. I just think, where the Raiders are a top 6 pick for Jeanty is a little bit rich, but, where the Saints are, I can see it.
I mean, it's not any more rich for the Saints to take him at 9 than the Raiders to take him at 6. Both are categorically absurd, even for a player of his caliber, but it's going to happen, right? I think top 10 is all but a lock. So you're checking one box in that the Saints are inside of the top 10. And, you look at the 3 teams that are right around that range, the Raiders, the Saints, and the Bears, and the Saints odds just completely dwarf the other 2, right? Plus 3,000, plus 1,300 is where it's sitting right now. I mean, if you want to try to get creative and say that, maybe the Jets get a little squirrely and speculate in that plus 2,500, I think that's fair for a little bit of a sprinkle. But realistically, I mean, it's down to 3, maybe 4 teams that are going to be looking at him inside of the top 10. And 2 of them have significantly more favorable odds. So those would be the 2 that I'd be looking at.
Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to round it out with one final market here. It's the player draft position over-unders. This is everyone's favorite, I think. And only Caesars has their lines available currently. I'm going to go ahead and read a couple out to you guys and just let me know if any stick out to you. O'Marion Hampton over-under of 19.5. Jackson Dart over-under 21.5. Matthew Golden 17.5. Tet McMillan 17.5. Shedeur Sanders over under 3.5. I already told you I love that under at 4-1. Give me that. Tyler Warren over under 10.5. Eric, you and I were curious what the books would potentially throw out there for this line because you and I might put a case of Busch Light or a shot on this one. So excited to hear kind of your thoughts on that one. And then Ashton Jeanty over under 9.5. Colston Loveland 18.5. And any stick out to you as potential value plays before we officially lay down our best bets here in just a couple weeks, Eric?
I mean, the one that sticks out the most is Shedeur Sanders plus 400 to go under 3.5, right? Beyond that, realistically, I don't think that front offices should be taking tight ends nearly as high as it seems like they're going to with either Tyler Warren or Colston Loveland. But I do think that the disparity between where these 2 are projected to be picked according to these odds creates a bit of an opportunity, right? I think, we go back to a few years ago when Michael Mayer was the odds-on favorite to be the first tight end off the board, and all of a sudden Sam Laporta sneaks up and gets his name
Kincaid.
called first.
Kincaid.
Kincaid, yeah. So I think we can totally see Loveland and Warren potentially flip, and I think we can use the 8 picks between the two of them to kind of triangulate where we like their individual pick locations. So that's really what I'm seeing from this market more than anything else. It's priced appropriately, right?
Yeah, it is.
There's some longer odds that can catch your eye, but really, you're largely betting, with little to no juice, and that's not the market I'm looking to get into.
Yeah, Steve, I don't know if, as of what I'm seeing right now, like there's not one that I would really jump on. Of course, we're going to get more lines from more books as they open up. I saw Ben's over there from Circa. He put out that it's going to be the week of that he's going to release his over-under line. So might not get him to the week of at some sports books, but anything you're seeing of value now, or is this just a wait and hold for you as well?
I mean, I don't want to beat like a dead horse, but right now, if you bet the under on Tet McMillan going at 17.5.
Yeah.
17.5. This is the guy we're talking about at number 4.
Yeah.
I don't think you're waiting long to cash that bet. Truly.
I would rather do that than bet the first wide receiver for more juice. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's minus 130. That's pretty great. It's close to even numbers, even money. And 17.5, like that means that would be, I can't remember the last draft a wide receiver went that late.
Yeah.
Like that would be the first, like if he's the first wide receiver off the board.
JSN a couple years ago. What was he, Eric? Was he like 19, 20, something like that? I think it was a little bit later,
He
but
might have been a little bit lower than that. He's right around the midpoint of the draft.
I think it was like 21 or 22. He went to Seattle, but Steve, your point still stands. So
like that would be an anomaly. And Tet McMillan, it's just he profiles too well for the NFL to fall that far. There's too many wide receiver needy teams in the top half of the draft. The New England Patriots come to mind. The Raiders come to mind. There's a lot of options.
Steelers 21.5, like or Steelers are pick 21. So Jackson Dart still plus money.
That was another guy I was looking at with Jackson Dart at under, because I do think I think he's a Pittsburgh Steeler at this point. I think that's just it just makes too much sense.
Yeah, his deep game really fits it, I think. So yeah, I'm there.
And the fact that they're not signing anyone.
Well, hold your horses, just because I think we could get something later this week, but we'll certainly stay kind of plugged in for that. But
Aaron Rodgers is 41 years old, so you got to plan for after him.
Yeah,
and
you do.
If Jackson Dart is there, I think you that's the plan.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Guys, great first look here at this NFL draft future betting market. We're going to lay down some best bets here in just a couple of weeks, so make sure you guys are staying subscribed for that, keeping up with us on socials as well as we put those out here. But let's go ahead. Let's round out the show. Some more rookie talk and Rave rookie reviews. In this edition of Rave Rookie Reviews, we're talking about our favorite targets for the Rookie Origins Tournament on FastDraft, the fastest new best ball game on the planet. Listen, we all love best ball drafts, but it's hard to make time for them in the spring when you're dealing with yard work, baseball games, bonfires, cold beers calling your name. But that's where FastDraft comes into play with a 20-second timer clock. These drafts take no longer than 5 minutes because you're only drafting 6 rounds. If you like what you're hearing, use the promo code IBT for a $25 match on your first deposit. And today, gentlemen, we are, of course, talking some fast drafts specifically for the Rookie Origin Tournament. And this is, I think, one of the most unique offerings out there, really, for any best ball platform, gentlemen, specifically because you're only drafting rookies and you're only drafting them for their rookie year. This is a tournament that is 6 rounds, third round reversal will be in play. 10 teams, roughly 5,900 entries, full point PPR, 4 points per passing touchdown. Eric, let's go ahead and start with you, man. Your favorite rookie origin target on FastDraft is?
Oh man, it's hard to pick a favorite. One of the things that I love about playing on FastDraft is, as a newer platform, it's kind of soft. There's a lot of soft spots in these ADPs that you can take advantage of.
Yeah.
The one that jumps out to me is Jayden Higgins, the wide receiver from Iowa State. I mean, look, I am one of the biggest Jayden Higgins fans out there. I think that you can kind of squint one eye and see a lot of Tet McMillan in his game, right? He's like a Tet McMillan who gets off the line better and doesn't have to make acrobatic contested catches, right? But his range of outcomes is admittedly much wider, right? He's somewhere on the low end as like an Alan Lazard, or on the high end as high as like a Nico Collins. And that is exactly the profile of player that you want in a best ball format. And I think that NFL teams are thinking about him in a similar light, right? Those that are going to need a home run hitter, a field stretcher, a downfield option, a player that they can look to target for potential red zone plays, potential scoring plays. He could find his way onto some pretty potent NFL offenses, and to get him at ADP 23 as you're at the end of the second round is exactly the type of player I'm looking for. So I will raise my hand. I am more bullish than most on Jayden Higgins, but even taking a more conservative projection on what he does in his first year, I think this still screams value.
Yeah, I think to get Jayden Higgins all the way down here at ADP of 23, that is crazy value, man, because to me, like, this guy's not getting past me if I have like the 202, the 203 in my dynasty rookie draft, man, because he is a true X wide receiver. But I also think you play him in the power slot role, my goodness, could this guy also be dominant there? So I love the call on Jayden Higgins, man. I think aside from Tet McMillan, he is the truest X in this class. I love it, some AO Manor too, but at the same time, I do like Higgins. So Steve, keep with the wide receiver position here with your first FastDraft Origins rookie target, please.
Yeah, it's the true wide receiver 2 in this class for me, and that would be Tre Harris out of Ole Miss. Listen, Ole Miss has done it over and over and over again with these big physical wide receivers. We got AJ Brown, we got DK Metcalf. It happens, and Tre Harris fits that mold too. I don't know why he's not getting more hype. I couldn't explain it to you. I think
part of it is there's 3 Ole Miss wide receivers in this draft, and the Lane Kiffin offense also can occasionally produce some like faulty productions. Because while you get those studs, Steve, you also get Elijah Moore, right? Because we know Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart the last 5 years have wanted to throw it around the yard quite a bit.
Yeah, but Tre Harris passes the sniff test, right? I'm trying to say this, and I'm trying to come with facts, right? I always try to come with facts on this show.
Facts, not feelings.
Right. Sure. But sometimes feelings fucking matter, dude. Like, that's the thing. Like, and I think we get lost in the sauce a little bit, and we're like, but the numbers and the this and the advanced analytics. Sometimes ballers are just ballers, right? And like sometimes dudes are just that dude. And Tre Harris, that's a bad motherfucker out on the field. Like, if you're the cornerback lined up against Tre Harris, you're like, I'm in for a long fucking day. This is not going to be fun. He's going to be physical. He's going to be fast. He's going to go past me, may cut in front of me. And then if he does catch the ball, I have to try to tackle this motherfucker. Like, that's really difficult. And that's not a lot of guys in this draft that can say that. So at ADP 16, if this dude lands in a half decent situation, like Green Bay, for instance, he could be their wide receiver 1 tomorrow. So like, this is not the craziest jump to say that while I am bullish on Tet McMillan, I would be very, very, very satisfied landing Tre Harris as my wide receiver 1 in this draft.
Okay. I like the call out there on Tre Harris. For me, in the second round of my fast drafts, I'm looking for someone like Colston Loveland because I don't want someone that's going to screw me over. Like, I'm really trying to protect this early draft capital. Loveland currently for Michigan, coming off the board at 18.5 overall. And he's going to get enough draft capital right now as well. The books are saying it, where he's going to be a first round pick. Damn, he's going to be a top 20 pick if you're listening to what the sports books are saying. So he's going to be a team's second target potentially in the NFL. That's going to score you fantasy points. That's what you need to be a difference maker at the fantasy tight end position. And I cannot say the same for players going around him that I really like Jalen Noel, another Iowa State guy. Like he's someone who I think is more of a flanker than we talked about earlier with Jayden Higgins. Alec Ayomanor, another guy I love, but I'm not sure if he'll step right into an X role on day one. Loveland will be out on the field, man. And like, I get that it was a pretty tough season for him. And like ahead of this last year, like most people thought he was the tight end one of this class coming in 2024. We had this whole issue with the Wolverines playing musical chairs at quarterback. Is it going to be Alex Orji? Is it going to be Davis Warren? Is it going to be Jack Tuttle? Oh, it's going to be none of them. They all suck. And then like still finishes, first team all consensus American, man, 56 receptions, almost 600 yards, 5 touchdowns in just 10 games. So he's a really good player, guys. And he's going to have a guaranteed role, unlike a lot of the other players in this range. So I'm opting for the floor with Colston Loveland at ADP of 18 overall. Eric, back to you with your second target for FastDraft. Oh, muted as well, Eric.
I think a lot. You got me?
Yeah, you're good.
All right. I think a lot of this speaks to my overall strategy on how I'm approaching FastDraft, which is largely waiting on the running back position, right? I think that there are so many viable names as we get deeper into the draft that can pop up and contribute for you in a best ball context. One that I find myself getting to a lot is Damien Martinez coming out of the University of Miami. Absolute big back bruiser, but he's got some speed to his game. He's got a little bit of nimbleness, a little bit of fleet of foot. And all of that makes him very interesting, right? He's a guy that cracked the 3,000 career yards mark, averaging over 6.2 yards per carry. Not exactly the ham and egg plotter type, but has enough strength to break tackles, has enough ability to make people miss in open space and find the right hole at the line to where I think he'll be a red zone threat. And all that smells like touchdowns to me, which is exactly what you're looking for at the position in the best ball format. So, a guy that I think, on the upside could potentially look like a bit of Tank Bigsby from last year with a little bit more grace to his game, is exactly who I'm looking for as you kind of creep into the third round there, right? That third round reversal is huge. So him sitting at ADP 32 is a prime punt RB candidate for me.
Steve, keep us with the running back position, man. Who are you running 500 miles to get here, man?
I don't run 500 miles, so if you ever
I will walk 5. You can walk 500 miles.
That's what I do. That's where I was going with that. If you see me running, you should be running too, because I'm running away from you. But I'm going with Raheim Sanders. This is the kind of guy I love to get late because he's really been marred by injuries, which means you're going to get him at this like massive discount because teams are going to draft him late, but he really has the talent to be a starting running back in the NFL, right? So you look around and say the New Orleans Saints surprise us and don't take a running back in the first round. Let's just play that game. They wind up taking Raheim Sanders. They're not going to give Alvin Kamara 250 touches again. They just don't want to do it.
That would be a great role for Sanders.
Raheim Sanders has a lot of landing spots where he walks in as, if not the best, the second best running back on that roster.
Early thumper.
Yeah. And he's actually not as much of a thumper as people want to like put it out. Like this man ran in the 4.4s again. He is fast. Like this dude was hurt, but he's a little
stiff. He's stiff and he's tall when he runs. That's why I say thumper.
He's a tall runner. Like he's a long athlete, right? Like he kind of runs like a wide receiver, like an X wide receiver, which is a problem sometimes for running backs. But he's like a long athlete and he's big, he's strong. But you know what? You know who else was like that? And it didn't really matter. As a matter of fact, he's probably the best running back of his generation. Derrick Henry. It's the same kind of idea. Like, granted, he's not quite Derrick Henry level of like aura coming out, but he has that same kind of running ability, like style of he runs vertically. He has long strides, but once he hits that open field, you're not catching him. And I think Raheim Sanders, he has pretty soft hands. He's a decent receiver. There's a path to touches for him, whether it's in Dallas, Denver, New Orleans, somewhere like that he could really be a huge value. And at ADP 55, I mean, what the fuck are we doing there? Like
Last
the round,
round.
there's only 6 rounds in the whole thing. So
Yeah.
hell, land him in Miami, spell Devon Achane a bit, and let Raheim Sanders like go stomping through that line a bit. I think this could be a home run pick.
I don't mind the play at all at ADP 55. Good shout out there to your guy down there in South Carolina, Raheim Rocket Sanders. I'll round us out with my second favorite target over on FastDraft. And look, hey, I got to type, guys. I got to type right now. And again, like I'm just looking for players who I know will have a guaranteed role.
Like ugly tight ends.
Like I'm just looking for players who I know are going to have a role because like most of the players in this like late round 3 range are day 3 running backs, day 3 wide receivers, potentially, who will have trouble finding meaningful touches. Like, while I like Rocket Sanders, while I like Damien Martinez, like, it's still going to be an uphill battle unless they land in the perfect spot for them to get somewhere. On the other hand, LSU tight end Mason Taylor, he is all but likely going to walk into somewhere where he could be a starting tight end on day 1. He's been a big-time riser during this pre-draft process, son of Hall of Famer defensive end Jason Taylor. Like, certainly had a pretty, like, mediocre, productive career in Baton Rouge. He only had about 129 receptions, 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns in 3 seasons down there for Brian Kelly. But he is certainly very much so flashed during this pre-draft process. He, I think, could walk into a team where he is a top 2 target there. Potentially, he's visited with the Chargers. He would be the second target, I think, on that team unless they go out and add someone big. The Seahawks, I don't think he'd be the second target, but behind Cooper Kupp, JSN, I think you factor him in as 3. I don't like he's also visited with the Browns. I don't love that. He'd obviously have to wait behind David Njoku, but there's a lot of decent landing spots, I think, for Mason Taylor to instantly see the field there. So I'm certainly down for him to potentially land in a good spot and snap up some value here at ADP of 37. Mason Taylor, boys. Let's go. All right. Eric, you got some thoughts on Mason Taylor? You're grinning from year to year.
You paused like you wanted us to speak, and I was like, I just didn't want to burst your little bubble, so I'm gonna let Eric do it.
Yeah, that's
I'm not a Mason Taylor stan by any mean, but I just think teams love him a lot. It seems like he's getting steamed up there.
I like Mason Taylor a lot more in this range of rookie drafts than I do in best ball drafts. Right? We have been spoiled by the likes of Brock Bowers and Sam Laporta and this like absurd year 1 tight end production.
Tyler Warren.
It is very unlikely to have a tight end contribute in a meaningful way as a rookie. It's not impossible, but I would rather look elsewhere, specifically speculating in the running back market and looking at some of these higher upside receivers around this point in the draft.
Okay. That's fair. Steve, are you one of those that just kind of thinks Mason Taylor's getting all the hype because of his family name? Is that really where you are?
Well, it's not because of skill or production. So what the fuck else could it be? Like,
I mean, it's your prototypical size for a tight end. And he's got a little bit of athleticism too.
It's not it. Like, I mean, this dude isn't it. There's nothing about him that screams that he is, right? If I'm wrong, it's not. The process was wrong. You know what I mean? It's one of those like anomalies that how did this happen? Because it makes no sense. He's not explosive enough. He's not big enough. He's not fast enough. He's not productive enough.
I think he's a guy who can get on the field like very early. Like while we're looking out at guys like, well, I think we all like Harold Fannin. Harold Fannin does not have the size to be on the field for three downs. Hell, Dalton Kincaid doesn't. We're seeing in the NFL. Mason Taylor has that. He could be in. I mean, it might be a Pat Freiermuth type role where he's maxing out 700 yards, couple touchdowns a year. But I don't know how there's a floor. There's a floor here with Mason Taylor, boy. There's a floor. There's not much of a ceiling, but there's a damn floor. But we will end it there. But I do want to throw out one more NFL draft related question for you because it's been in my world the last couple of days. I've talked about it on a couple of shows. There's only really 2 shows that show this NFL draft cycle, that share this process, a little insight, a little gleam into what it's like to be either an NFL general manager or an agent of an NFL player two great ones, Draft Day and Jerry Maguire. Steve, set it up. You're kind of our movie entertainment betting expert here at IBT, ever own show, Popcorn Root Beer, where you touch on these very topics. So tell us a little more about Draft Day, Jerry Maguire, a little TC, a little Kevin Costner over there.
Yeah, so Kevin Costner and Jennifer Gardner head up Draft Day. Kevin Costner plays the general manager of the Cleveland Browns. And the very short and sweet of the premise is he trades up to the number 1 pick, and then we watch the chaos unfold. For Jerry Maguire, this is a Tom Cruise vehicle, which you know how much I love Tom Cruise. But it also has Cuba Gooding Jr., Renee Zellweger, Kelly Preston, Jerry O'Connell, Jay Moore, Bonnie Hunt, and Regina King. To put these two into comparison, I'll give you guys some Rotten Tomato scores. Draft Day got a 60, which is on the line of fresh or rotten. It was fresh, so they won. They made it there. But Jerry Maguire has an 85 rating.
Oh, wow!
On Rotten Tomatoes.
Is that certified fresh?
That is certified fresh. Jerry Maguire, the tagline is, when a sports agent has a moral epiphany and is fired for expressing it, he decides to put his new philosophy to the test as an independent agent. Now, I will say this as well for Jerry Maguire, is that an Oscar came out of this movie.
Oh, did it really?
Cuba Gooding Jr. won an Oscar for Jerry Maguire. So I will happily give my input on this here and now.
Yeah.
This is a runaway for me. It's not close. It's Jerry Maguire. And I don't even like Tom Cruise. This is my favorite Tom Cruise role of all time. Second only, I would say, to his role in Tropic Thunder as that psycho billionaire movie executive. I actually enjoy Jerry Maguire quite a bit. I thought it was a great movie.
It's a heartthrobber, man. When it comes on TV, I can't help myself from checking it out and listening to the end. And like, is there a more quotable line in it than like, show me the money, baby, show me the money? Like, that's just
right.
Like, and like Draft Day certainly has like its quotable moments too. Like we could go through it, like, you know, I'm going to eat my effing pancakes and, you know, no matter what, like there are so many great memories there in Draft Day too, but I didn't.
Draft Day is kind of a mess.
I mean, neither one of these I don't think are like, you know, screaming award-winning motion picture. Well, apparently Jerry Maguire is.
Jerry Maguire was.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah.
I think it was also. It may have been nominated for Best Picture too. I'm not entirely positive. It was an awards darling though. Like, this is considered one of Tom Cruise's best performances of all time.
Yeah. I mean, I like them both, but like, I do like the grittiness. Eric, weigh in on this, man, because like, I like the grittiness of draft day, how it opens up. Like, you feel like you're there. You feel like you're in Cleveland. You got the radio going in Sonny's car. And like, you know, it kind of reminds me of Moneyball a little bit. Kind of has that feel, which I love that movie too.
It's Jerry Maguire and it's not close.
Wow. Really?
Look, in terms of just objectively high quality movies, Jerry Maguire is on a pretty short list in my book. Really, the best thing that Draft Day has going for it is Vontae Mack, no matter what, who hasn't wanted to write a note to themselves that their future self can just pluck out of their pocket and get that sage-like wisdom, right? I'm definitely guilty of that. But apart from that one moment, like there isn't the heartstrings being tugged on. There isn't the underdog story. There isn't the hear a pin drop in the stadium and in the theater when Cuba Gooding Jr. is down on the field. Spoiler alert. I mean, it's much more. There are many more layers to Jerry Maguire as a film than there are to Draft Day. However much I might enjoy Draft Day.
Chadwick Boseman.
Okay.
Chadwick Boseman. That dude is awesome. I miss Chadwick.
Yeah.
Look, I know. Listen, this isn't a knock on Chadwick Boseman. This is a knock on a movie that had a team trade 3 first-round picks for the number 1 pick and then begin scouting it. Like, it's like they had a concept of what the NFL draft was like, but didn't like consult a draft.
Arian Foster, Sam Elliott. Like, I don't know. That's a loaded cast, honestly. That's a loaded freaking cast if you look at it.
It was a loaded cast, but Jerry Maguire, I think. Let me ask, are people saying Draft Day who you're talking to?
So we put it in the Fantasy Pros live chat the other day, and Draft Day did win. I think it was like a 55-45 split. So yeah, it's
why? Because that's like a bunch of like, I don't know. That's just a bad take. That's a bad take. I don't even like Tom Cruise. I don't like Tom Cruise. and I'm sitting here adamantly defending Tom Cruise and his movie. I'm offended.
I think this might be an age thing, right? Like we're flirting with the point where people are aging out of Jerry Maguire being part of the zeitgeist.
That's the only thing I'm thinking of is I'm like, maybe they just have never seen it.
Ben in the chat saying Maguire better movie, but Draft Day more of a meme / recency bias. Yeah, I can get that. We have our back end producer Kyle Scott. Kyle, you're certainly plugged into the entertainment world as well. Do you have any insight here? Draft Day, Jerry Maguire, where are you going? A little TC love for you, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, unlike Steve, I am on record. I actually am quite fond of Tom Cruise. I think he is a very good actor.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of a lot of his movies.
Thank you.
And Jerry Maguire is leagues ahead of Draft Day.
Like,
not only in terms of quality. Okay. But just like, I mean, Draft Day is, as Steve said, it is a mess. And yeah, I think your poll is by a bunch of people who haven't seen Jerry Maguire, because if you've seen both movies, like, you know, it's simply not a contest.
I also love the scene in Jerry Maguire too, when like Jerry storms out of the office and the one girl goes with him. Like, I mean, that's great, man. That's a great setup.
And coming with me, who among us hasn't ideated and daydreamed about bailing out on a job in that exact fashion?
Have either of you ever like quit a job, like,
no,
being like, get fucked?
No, I never. I'm not a quitter, Steve. I imagine you have.
I've stood up and walked out, never to return, but I didn't have like the full on speech.
Oh wow!
I've
had a few. I had one not quite like speech ready to go, but it was certainly a
little Jerry Maguire moment.
Little bit.
Yeah.
I've had my share, but
okay.
Yeah. Seth, I've been nice to you this program. I've been nice to you today.
Hey, brother, you got to realize on in the Fantasy Pros live stream earlier this week, I was on the Jerry Maguire side. I think Jerry Maguire is the better movie, but I like to play devil's advocate. I think they're both great movies. I love them both.
See, that's why I have to be mean to you.
I'll be watching them both over the last 2 weeks. I'll put a little book report. I'll do a little homework.
Don't make me bring up your list, your stupid tiers list that you came up with of 90s like sitcoms.
Yeah. We'll get to that. I thought you were gonna take me down for my Disney soundtrack. That
was also awful. An extremely goofy movie is number one.
That's a banger.
What the fuck is that?
I mean,
dude,
it's a solid soundtrack.
Yeah.
Where Eye to Eye comes from.
I don't know if I'd say number one.
Yeah,
Eye to Eye is on the regular Goofy movie. What do you mean?
I'm just saying there's a chance that one of my wedding songs might be coming from an extremely goofy movie. So that's little sentimental there.
Please make this happen.
Guys, this has been an awesome program. Thank you so much, Eric, Steve, Kyle, for being here with us. Thank you, everyone, for riding with us in the chat as well. That's going to do it tonight on the In Between Fantasy Football podcast. If you've rode with us this long, please do us a quick favor. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the whole damn channel. We've got NFL betting, college football betting, NASCAR racing betting, PGA Tour betting, entertainment betting, all to help you cash more and enjoy the ride along the way. Also, be sure to check out inbetweenmedia.com for some written content and upcoming live event tickets, including Draft Night Out 2025 in Canton, Ohio. For Eric Romoff, Steve Lawson, and Kyle Scott, I'm Seth Wilcock. Thanks for watching. Keep it in between next time.